today I thought what we might do is kind of a follow-on from our setting goals Zoom that we did a couple of weeks back. I thought we might look at how, just to have a little mental check-in with yourself. How are you doing in terms of setting yourself goals, and what do you do if maybe, having watched that video, you haven't even thought about a goal or wondered as to how you can achieve a goal at the moment. And so one of the ways of helping to motivate yourself, or just getting yourself to the starting line in terms of setting goals, is to look at what you have achieved in the past. So if you're sitting here and you're thinking, I've never achieved anything in my life, I've never set a goal and achieved it, that's not real, because we all have set goals. We mightn't have sat down and said, this is my goal, this is how I'm going to achieve it, but we all have achievements in our lives that have brought us to where we are to date. And so I thought that today, if it might be a useful exercise if you do a mental I suppose, list of all of the things you've achieved to date. So if you just ask yourself the question, you know, what have I achieved in the past, or what is the thing that I've done that I am most proud of? And so if we ask ourselves that question, it should help us remind ourselves of past success, which should help to ensure future success. So I'll give you an example. Something that I did that I achieved that I was really proud of was learning to drive. Well, not even learning to drive, it was getting my full license. When I started off with the idea of learning to drive, it had been a birthday present, some lessons. And at the time, there was only 6 lessons, but you have to do 12. And so I was very excited by getting this present. And I decided to go out with my dad, who was alive at the time. And he did the first 6 lessons with me. But they didn't always go so well, because sometimes he and I, we were very alike, and we used to kind of clash and have arguments, not for every one of the lessons, but for a couple of them. And that made me kind of apprehensive and nervous. However, I persevered because I really did want to learn how to drive. And I did the 6 lessons with the professional, and they went much better, because obviously the driving instructor wasn't arguing with me the same way as my dad was, or I wasn't arguing with my dad or with the driving instructor as much as I did with my dad. So having done the lessons, I then was, applied to do the test and got a date for the test. But unfortunately, the same day for my driving test, I got called for interview for a job. And both had me really, really nervous. And so I had the driving test first. I went into the driving test, but the job interview was on my mind, and I failed the test. I then got into the car with my dad, and he drove me to the interview, and I made an absolute hames of the interview, and I failed the interview. And I was really, really down that day. I remember thinking, oh my God, I had 2 small tasks to achieve today. One, having done all my lessons and all my practice, and I failed it. I had done lots of research for my interview, and I failed it too. I was very lucky, because the organization that I was going for the job for, I knew the person interviewing me, and they rang me afterwards and said, oh my God, what happened to you? You did not perform well. And I explained that I had been for my driving test earlier on in the day, and I had failed it, and that had kind of set me back and had been on my mind during the interview. So he very kindly said, look, let's give you another opportunity to interview for the job. And we'll take it from there. He did. I went for a second interview, got the job, and that helped to boost my confidence a little bit. I applied for the driving test again a second time, and got my license on the second go. So even though I got setbacks along the way, I was really, really proud of myself the day that I got my driving lesson. So yeah, that was I suppose the one that I thought about and decided to share with you guys today. What about yourself, Lorna?
I decided a couple of years ago that I wanted to upskill, that I wanted to add to my CV, because, I was in the one job for so long and that I didn't have any, courses done. So yeah, I decided, okay, that was it. I went on KWETB and I looked up their courses and I decided, fine. And I found one that, that kind of interested me, which was a bookkeeping course for 20 weeks. So, yeah, so I was kind of nervous because it's been years since I've studied. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do all this? And meeting people that I don't know. But it was all fine.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
delighted that, yeah, I was very happy then when I got my distinction in it. And it kind
Well
of,
done.
yeah, it's kind of made me want to go on and do other courses now, you know?
Yeah, and that's exactly it, Lorna, because sometimes, you know, when we succeed at something, it does spur us on to want to succeed at something else. So, yeah, you brilliantly demonstrated exactly what the point of today's class is about. Ciara, what about yourself?
Well, I suppose many moons ago now, I used to love swimming, and like I was an okay swimmer, I suppose. Never got into the Olympics or anything, but I could swim. You know, I was could stay afloat. But I never, as the years went by, I never bothered anymore. But a friend of mine, she does all these triathlons and all these different swims, and she asked me would I be interested in doing a swim over in Mayo in the fjord in October. It's a 2K swim where they bring you out in this boat and then they throw you into the water and you have to swim back in. And yeah, nice. Yeah. So she'd been asking me for years to do it, and I've been putting it off. But just there, Christmas gone, I decided I'd set a goal for myself, knowing that I could swim and that I could do it if I trained. So yeah, both of us set about starting out training, and then the pandemic hit. So I was kind of a bit deflated. I kind of, you know, I had my mind set on this goal, and I was kind of letting it get in on me then, and I was annoyed, and then I just kind of sat down one day and I had a little think, and I just said, look, it's just because it's not going to happen obviously this October, what can I do, you know? So I set another goal for myself whereby I now run down by the river 3 days a week. So I'm kind of keeping near the water. I'm not in it, but I'm near it, and I'm out 3 days a week. It's good for me. It's a goal that is achievable, and my goal for Mayo and the fjord mightn't happen this October, but please God, it could happen the following year, you know. So if I keep it up, sure, I could swim more than 2K when I get over to Mayo. We'll see.
By October 2021.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you'll swim around Ireland.
Or yeah, maybe do the channel or something. Yeah, so do something else.
Why not? Why not? Okay, brilliant, ladies. Thanks a million, because it is, you know, I suppose setting goals is something that's good for us to, I think, forward. I think particularly during this difficult time, to have something to look forward to, and to be working towards something. And as I say, oftentimes a good starting point, if we're struggling with knowing where to go or in our achievement, is to look back at past achievements and to know that, yeah, we can build on our successes.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well done, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye, Lorna.
Bye. Bye.